How's it going? I'm Ger Staunton, a stand-up comedian from Castlebar. I'm in the Linenhall. This is where I've been doing my annual show for the last few years, and it's been great. So it's probably my favourite gig of the year because it's a homecoming gig, so to speak. It's a bit like when Westlife plays Sligo. It's normally the gig I do October or November each year because I time it to be at the end of the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. So I'll go to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival with the crux of an idea for a show. I would practice it 30 nights in a row. It eventually becomes something, becomes a coherent show, and then I bring it to the Linenhall about a month later, and it's the hallmark gig of my calendar each year. So without sounding too biased, it is my favourite gig of the year, and it brings back a lot of memories. And this whole building has kind of been in my life for a long time anyway. I went to art college, so the whole way through my childhood and school life I would have come to the gallery upstairs and check out the art. In the tourist office part, I have painted murals on the walls that they still haven't painted over yet out of politeness, so that's very nice. And then I used to come to gigs here. I used to come to Tommy Tiernan and David O'Doherty, and when I got the chance to put on a gig here, thinking if I sell 30% of the tickets, I'll be chuffed. It was great. With the support of the Linenhall, we managed to sell all of the tickets. And yeah, it's my favourite gig to do. So when I first started coming into the Linenhall, it was because of visual art. I was in college in the National College of Art and Design in Dublin. So I would come in here to check out the exhibitions. I always wanted my stuff on the walls upstairs rather than me on the stage downstairs. That was what attracted me to the Linenhall. I remember probably 20 years ago emailing the Linenhall saying, I like what you guys do. I have a bit of free time. If there's anything you need, shout me. And Maura would have me like set up chairs before gigs and just basically sticking up posters and stuff like that. So I've always liked what they've done in the Linenhall, and I always tried to be as supportive as possible about it. And we launched the membership scheme last October. Which was a nice thing to be involved in as well and to be asked to do. And I also did a thing for Culture Night for the Linenhall this year. So even though it was the visual art that attracted me to this building, actually it was Teenage Discos that attracted me to this building. And then it was visual art that attracted me upstairs to the gallery, and then it was the comedy that brought me down here. And that this is now the room I feel most comfortable in, I guess, when I think of the Linenhall. My favourite memory of the Linenhall, so I've got two. My first is when I first sold a show here because I didn't think that would be possible. I had always done split shows. You team up with another act or two acts and you would do 15, 20 minutes each. And this was the first time that I said, I think I can do an hour-long show, and if they buy tickets, we'll see. And achieving that and selling the tickets and getting nice feedback from the show for the first time, that was a real push to say it's not impossible. You can do this kind of thing possibly in other towns. So that was a big door opener for me. That would have been my first of the best memories of this place. And then my second is just a couple of months back, we put on a show during lockdown. Not easy, not ideal. People are wearing masks. People are sanitizing their hands on the way in. Seats are blocked off. It's not an ideal way to do comedy. You can't tell when they're laughing. I wasn't wearing a mask, but they can't tell when I'm joking. So we were kind of even on the night. And opening for me on the night was my 9-year-old niece, Morgan. So I had asked her during the summer, I said, look, if I put on a show, it's not going to be 150 people, don't worry. We can only fit 50 people in. Would you would you do 5 minutes of comedy? And she was like, yeah, whatever. Just pure, like 10 years it took me to say, maybe I can possibly give it a try once. 10 seconds it took her to go, yeah, sure, no bother. What do you want me to do? And she did it, and she stormed it. She was brilliant. And yeah, afterwards she said, I think I'd like to do that again. So I guess seeing her doing her 5 minute set was probably another one of my favorite Linenhall moments, I guess. I think the best gig I've seen in here is probably a few years ago when Tommy Tiernan came, because he often does these works in progress where it's not a defined set. Often you go to see him in Edinburgh or somewhere and it's more defined, and there's more repetition from night to night, but then sometimes he just does smaller shows around the country where you get to see how his mind works, you get to see the thought process. And that day he had gone to Westport and climbed Crowpatrick, and he had met a few characters along the way. So the first half hour of the show was him talking about that trip. And I remember thinking, God damn it, like here's me spending a year writing material. This guy goes up and down a mountain and comes back with a whole new show that's better than anything I can do. So that's probably the best. I went to a few music gigs as well. I actually played a music gig here as well on this stage with a band I was in a few years ago. I remember my parents came to that, and we weren't playing pop music. Would have been a little bit offbeat, to put it kindly. And my mother and father were sitting at the back. I knew they probably wouldn't enjoy the music that much. They were sitting at the back, and when they came on, there was so much equipment. We just had like drum machines and synthesizers and loads of different guitars and all that. And she just turned to my dad and went, "It's no wonder he has no money."